Hello, my friends. My name is Francis. A little bit about me. I arrived in Ukraine first week of March 2022. Fought in Irpin during the Battle of Kiev in a Special Force Sniper Unit. I fought in Izium, where I was in the Javelin team. 2023, fought in Zaporizhia, Bakhmut City, Bakhmut Outskirt in the Gore Sniper Unit. Then in Kupiansk in a Reconnaissance Unit. 2024, I joined Assault Group, where we worked north of Kharkiv. I was wounded during an assault summer 2024. Spent 8 months recovering. Today, after 6 surgeries, 4 hospital, 4 rehabilitation center, and back to work in a drone team. Also, I run Dozer Freedom, a non-profit organization where we build FPV drones for drone teams. Our drones have made almost $1 million of them on the battlefield so far. Please subscribe to this channel and join our membership program or our Patreon in order to support my NGO and to learn everything about FPV drones in Ukraine. Enjoy the video. Peace, everyone.
Hello all, I'm Francis from Doves of Freedom, and I am here in Ukraine with the only Civ Div.
Hello, I'm here.
How are you? Like, how have you been, bro?
Doing good, doing good. I'm only here for a short while, but
Yeah.
just stopping by, seeing everybody. Yeah,
Man, thanks for coming to see me, Bryn.
I appreciate it. No, thank you. It was just a coincidence that you were down in this city that we're at at the same time.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, man. But you know, I want to tell to hear your story about like how you became a foreign fighter at the beginning in Syria. So like you left the Marines, and then how did you learn about the YPG?
Yeah, dude. It's funny you mentioned that because the guy that I had contacted I was on Instagram one day, and just like any veteran, I was seeing like a lot of footage coming out of like the YPG against ISIS in Syria.
Okay.
And one of them just happened to be like a foreign fighter, and that foreign fighter sadly passed away like 2 weeks ago. But that foreign fighter, I just texted him on Instagram like, yo, I'm a Marine veteran. I'm very interested in this, and he was able to get me the contact, like with the YPG.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which year was it?
2018. So that was 2018. Yeah, and then I contacted him. And then within a day after sending the email, they gave me a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Did that, and then I put my 2 weeks in at working Apple retail. I was like selling iPhones, and I put my 2 weeks in. I'm like, I'm out of here. So, and then I just flew out to Iraq. Yeah.
And then, okay, you started you flew to Iraq, then you crossed into Syria?
Yeah. Got smuggled across.
Oh, smuggled across?
Yeah, smuggled. The second time around was worse, but to get to Syria, we waited like a week at a safe house, and then got us all in a car, and we traveled got across the Tigris River, borders Iraq and Syria, and then spent like 7 months there. Yeah.
And were there a lot of foreigners there?
There was like, at the safe house when I was waiting to cross, I think there was like 6 or 7.
Okay.
And then when I arrived there, they were waiting for us to come to start the academy, which is like the boot camp.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 20 or 25 people waiting there, and then like 15 people in the actual unit that have been there for a bit. So probably about like 40 of us or something.
Okay, still a lot of people.
Quite a bit, yeah. Quite a bit. All international too. Like, I wasn't the only American, but like most of the people were from like all over the world, like Asia, Europe, like everywhere. Yeah.
But was it your first time in the Middle East there?
Yeah. And it was funny because it was at the same time that my Marine Corps unit that I left just a year prior.
Yeah.
They were deployed there. So I was there with the YPG as like a volunteer fighter, the same time that my Marine unit was deployed there in the Marine Corps, So
For sure, man. That's... Wow, okay,
just silly, yeah. They always told me that they were jealous, but I was like, I didn't really do much there. But they were just jealous because I got to be with the Kurds and like really be incorporated, and I have some like unique experiences there, where they seem to be kind of locked into like a base and like that sort of thing.
Yeah, 2 different experiences probably.
Yeah, 2 different experiences, same place though.
How did you adapt, like flying from the US? Then arriving in Iraq, waiting there for a week.
Oh yeah.
In a safe house, like, were you like, what the fuck did I do? Or like, were you like, yo man, let's do this, and like?
Yeah, it was a mix of both. Like when I first got there, it was culture shock. First time in a different country, but I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Been thinking about it a lot because I've been meeting on this last trip. I've been meeting a lot of people who are coming to Ukraine for the first time. Trying to, they don't have military experience. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But this is their first volunteering. Like, surprisingly, like 3 years in, there's a lot of people coming for the first time. And I can see that they're having some issues adapting into being in a foreign fighting group or being in a new country. And like, I'm seeing myself in them, like myself in Syria. I'm seeing that in them, where they're having struggles with their team. They're having struggles with adapting to the culture and being like, why is it like this? Why is it like that? So that was definitely like how I was in Syria when I first got there. I was like, why are we doing this? Like, why can we? I was like, very typical American, like super typical American. Like, I know better, and yeah. So I think it was also age. I think as I grew older and I went through like more times going to these countries, being in foreign fighting roles and stuff, like it got easier. But yeah, I was definitely just like what the hell is even going on? Like, why are we doing this? Okay. That sort of attitude was pretty toxic.
And like here in Ukraine, we have like everything. Like the cities are running. Like we have like internet everywhere. It's pretty much like back home. But in Syria, like I guess like the food, like did you have access to internet there at the academy? Or just like here, there's like Nova Posta, and you order and it arrives the day after. It's insane.
Yeah.
But like I'm sure there, like
it's like
the life must be completely different, right?
Yeah, it was super different. I mean, Syria was super different. Iraq, which was like a year and a half after that, in the tunnels and stuff. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think that was the biggest difference. It was just we lived in a mud hut, village, and then when we went on operation, it was in the tunnels and very little internet. And if we did use internet, it was like. You'd be downloading a video and then it'd be, oh, there's a drone in the sky, we have to run in. Which is interesting, like this was years ago, and the only drone threat right before Ukraine, it wasn't Mavics, it wasn't anything. Nobody was using that shit. It was only Bayraktars. It was only these giant fixed wing, expensive drones, so it's weird looking back at that. And like drone warfare has evolved a lot. But that really put a damper on us. Like we try and be downloading a video, and a drone would come. We'd have to run to the tunnels, and then everything's no service anymore. It was.
Did you have Starlink there? Like, do they use Starlink?
Starlink didn't exist. Actually, the first time I saw Starlink, even knew it existed, was when I was in Iraq. We were outside doing some training, some nighttime training, and then I saw like when they were putting up the Starlink satellites, they put them up like 30 at a time. So it was nighttime. And we were already scared of drones and jets and like attacks, and we saw 30 dots in the sky, white lights coming up, like coming right over us. We're like, oh my god! We thought it was like HIMARS. We thought it was like MLRS and coming at us. So we ran to the tunnels. We were freaking out, and we found out it was Starlink satellites coming up.
Nice.
And then a year later, it would be used, but it wasn't used at that point. It wasn't ready. But no Starlink, no nothing.
Oh, okay, man. And like in the mud village, like is there shops, restaurants, stuff like that, or
there's a little bit like out in town. There's a couple of towns. I'm public about where I was in Iraq. It was Connoisseur and Sununi.
Okay.
And they had some food, and but mostly we just had to cook on our own. Mostly cooking, just whatever we had. Potatoes and rice usually.
No protein, right?
Yeah, barely any protein, but when we could, we'd go out to the shops and buy like a week's worth of supplies and bring it up with us. But it was kind of rare.
Okay, I mean, I feel that in Ukraine we are like super lucky. Like before mission, you just stop at the grocery store and you can buy anything you want. And then at the safe house, you just cook whatever. Like you can order food. Like it's like.
I heard of Arnie was talking about how one of the guys in our team, he was getting shawarma delivered, like literally airdropped to them, from like a shawarma shop, like still hot and everything, just airdropped by one of these bomber drones, like to them on position. So like
wow.
It's definitely strange. Yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, yeah, it's quite a bit different. Yeah, I would say so.
So, like, you were in the YPG for 6 months. You did, like, a contract there, 7 months?
Yep, it was a 6-month contract, stayed 7, and then Iraq was 13 months, 8-month contract, but I stayed another 5.
But you went to Syria, you came back home, and then you went back to Iraq.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did you choose the YBS at that time? Like, had you heard of them before, or?
I had heard of them. I knew they existed. It was right during COVID. I was living in a van that I had made, like a van home, and it was great. It was the life. It was the fucking life. And just during that time, though, it was very, like, I'm alone in a van, living in, like, out in the boonies, and everybody is, like, staying at home because of COVID, lockdown and stuff, and I became wanting community, like, really, really bad. And I knew, like, where I could find community. I had already been a foreign fighter before, and I'm like, oh, man, like, all it takes is just going over to Iraq, and so I contacted them and just got over to Iraq again. Yeah.
13 months, man.
Yeah.
That's
No,
in living of tunnels and stuff like that,
it was honestly a beautiful life. I think like you, like a lot of my friends, we'd eat it up, man. It was a lot of fun. Like, can you imagine? It's just like you and your team, like 4 dudes just living in the tunnels. Nobody else around, just living in the tunnels, a couple drones, and you get to shoot guns and, try and survive. It's pretty fun.
Okay.
Not gonna lie. Yeah, I was only planning to stay 8 months, but I, the visa, like trying to get the visa stamp to get out of there, it's a little sketchy and it takes a long time. But I never lost morale. Like, I never lost my cool. I was just enjoying it. Like, yeah, if I had stayed there like another 10 months, I'd probably be fine. Like, it really, really enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
Man, awesome.
Like, just like you had stayed here in Ukraine for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same mentality that I had in Iraq. It was chill. Yeah.
And you were just about to leave Iraq, and then Ukraine started.
Yeah.
Did you have the time to go home, or then you went from Iraq to Ukraine straight up?
Yeah. No, I had the plane ticket to go back home and everything, and then it happened. I got the knock on my door in the hotel in Iraq in Suleimania for my buddy who was also going home.
Yeah.
And knocks on the door. He's like, "Dude, the war started." I'm like, "No way."
Oh my god.
And he just hands me a thing of vodka. I'm like, "Yeah, we're looking at the news all night, just like all of us were." And yeah, so we just both flew over to Poland instead.
Really?
Yeah, just straight. And that was wild. Like, I don't, man, like, we're talking about how weird it was living in the tunnels in Iraq. When I arrived in Poland, I spent that first night sleeping on the streets, like, because I hadn't been to a hotel, like I hadn't been in Western civilization in so long. I had no idea how any of it worked. There was curfews, there was like shops would close at certain times. I didn't know anybody there, didn't know the language, and I still had I was wearing my big bulky Iraqi coat for wintertime. I still just had all my Iraq stuff, and I just get plopped into Europe, and it was at 2 a.m. I get scammed by the taxi driver, $300 for a 45-minute drive. It was just, everything was so new because I'd spent 13 months just living with my boys in the cave, so. I spent the first night just in the rain, on a street, just
wow, man.
It was like culture shock. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But did you cross with your friend that came with you? Yeah.
Yep, crossed with him. Crossed with a bunch of other YPG veterans.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was 20 of us, and
really.
Yeah, big group. Some of them are still here. Some already left, but a lot fell as well. I think out of the 20 of us, I think three or four. I'd have to think back at all the names, but I think 3 or 4 fell. We all know friends who've fallen. It's been a long 3 years, but yeah, they're very dedicated. It's the Kurdish cause, super similar to what Ukraine is dealing with. Super, super similar. People do the research. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you become a freedom fighter, that's what you do. You just join a war and that's what you want to do with your life.
100%.
Man.
Yeah.
But we know the risk and stuff like that. But
yeah,
super dangerous, obviously.
Yeah, you would know. I mean, you just got out of the hospital and you're still at it. That surprises me. I know it's my interview, but I want to just say that's what surprises me. The fact that you go through 3 years of war, you get injured, but then as soon as you're out of the hospital, join a unit again. You just want to get back to work. That's the mentality that you can only see in a couple freedom fighters, and that's you've got it. You, Arnie, it's very interesting for me to see. Yeah. I don't know if I'd have that same conviction after being wounded. Pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have to go back home at some point.
Of course, yeah.
But how can I adjust to normal life after 3.5 years of war?
Yeah.
It's I feel so happy and fulfilling here. I know, like, as soon as I go home, like, that's when the real combat will start, at least for me. Here, it's just fucking easy. You just do your work and it's awesome, man. But so I know I have to go back, but I've been just pushing to the right a little bit. Fight to the summer, at least. When I was on my hospital bed, from my unit, four people got killed. And then that sucked. Like when you are at the hospital and you hear that your boys that you were fighting with, they get just like killed on a suicide mission like that. Like there's nothing you can do on the hospital bed, and then you're like, fuck, man. So I mean, a lot of people died when I was at the hospital. So I'm like, nah, like I cannot just stop fighting. You know, it's like I need to keep working, man. The job is not over yet. But
and that seems to be the conviction I see from a lot of the guys in this unit, and like everywhere, like the people who've been fighting a long time, like you. It's like there's so many people who've fallen before us. It's like it's not it's all the motivation you need to just like continue. For some people, just like continue the work. It's like like that. The whole reason I went to this unit, like after taking a break, was because like a couple of my friends died, and it was just like I lost my mind when I was back home, and I'm sure that's why you're probably pretty afraid of like going back home, because
for sure
stuff like that can happen, and then you just it's like, how do you deal with that? It's a tough topic, man. Like that's a hard thing. I think a lot of foreign fighters, I think they really struggle with the mental trauma. I think they really struggle. Maybe not even trauma, but just like going back home, trying to adjust. It's like so difficult for the foreign fighters. I think it's like really difficult. I know it was for me at certain points.
Yeah, man, it's just terrible. I went back home in June 2022. For 1 month, and just like immediate like alcohol, depression, stuff like that. And then after three weeks, I was like, fuck that shit. Like, I mean, nah, you know, but
it's a difficult thing, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I think after this war, lots of people,
Yeah.
Ukrainian especially,
Yeah.
like all the Ukrainian military is gonna be like, I'm sure like mental health, PTSD, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and it's gonna affect them for a long time, for sure, man.
I think the one good thing out of it, and I think part of the reason that you were just saying that you feel more comfortable in Ukraine, is that like everywhere on the street, you know, like every man that there is that's passing by that's like our age, you know that they are in the military or just got out of the military. You know what I mean? So you know they get you. Like when you're at a restaurant, you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? Like wherever you are. But you can't say the same about America. You know, like I go back to the U.S. and nobody even knows that Ukraine is still going on. You know, like,
for sure, man.
You know, and I think for Ukraine, honestly, I think it'll be a little bit easier for them after the war, just because everybody's been through it.
Yeah.
Women, children, men, everybody's seen a missile fall and like knows people that were hurt. It's gonna be a lot of trauma to get over, but it's like at least they have the community.
That's true.
I think that's.
Yeah, definitely, it's gonna help them.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's how it was in Iraq. It was the same thing. It was just the community. That's the number one thing. And like veterans get back home, like especially how big the U.S. is.
Yeah.
Like veterans get back home, and then like the military is pretty small, especially the Marine Corps community.
Yeah.
You get back home, and it's like you don't know anybody around that's been in the Marine Corps, and been on that deployment, and been in this role. So you just feel like, okay, I'm with my old buddies, my old town, and nobody gets you. I think it's kind of difficult. And it's only more so for foreign fighters. Because it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to say thank you, bro. And let's keep doing the good work. I
dude.
The work is not over, so I guess.
100%.
Thank you for your time, man.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Peace.
Cool, dude.